The meeting of the Water Commissioners Thursday, February 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m. is called to order. This meeting is being recorded. Ed Johnson, present.
Dave Mesmore, present.
Rainey Brown, DPW Director here.
Christy Mayette, DPW Office Manager, present.
Kevin Soper, Water Department Foreman, present.
Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, seen it. Dave, have you reviewed the minutes of the last months?
I reviewed the minutes, make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I second. All in favor? Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mesmore, aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay. Elderly rate, we got 5 of them, I think. Here we have 5 applicants for elderly rate. They all meet all the requirements. Can I have a motion to accept these 5 people for the elderly rate application?
Make a motion to accept the 5 elderly rate application.
I'll second.
Okay, second. All in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mesmore, aye.
John Kane, aye.
Okay. And can you note that John came, he's here, he's present now. Okay. Randy, DPW report.
All right, so. Hello, gentlemen. You have a seat. First item, this has been a carryover for quite a while now, but we've been working with DCR to develop a water needs forecast study as part of our water management act permit renewal. Myself and John Goddard, town planners, had a few meetings with DCR staff. We had the latest one on January 19th. Talking about potential locations of potential growth in the town and how that may impact the water system. And that discussion is ongoing at this time. One item to note, this won't really affect us, but on January 20th, Mass DEP Water will revise the Water Management Act regulations. So this will not affect the town, but this will affect other communities in the state that are just registered water systems, not permanent like we are. But this will condition all registered water systems to implement water restrictions during periods of droughts. So that's one of our triggers in our permit, is it's a drought declaration.
Right.
So if that same declaration comes out, that'll affect other communities. So you're going to see a lot more in the news about this over the next year, starting this summer. So systems like Westfield, Agawam, I think they would all be impacted by this. That said, I will say that there is an effort to appeal that was regulations, new regulations. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. We're not involved in it,
Right.
but I think I stay tuned on that. Item 3, we took our latest PFAS samples on January 17th over at well 1. The results were no detect. Our current sampling schedule is to sample for PFAS at wells 1 and 2 once a year. So this was our yearly schedule, our yearly sample for well 1. Our well 2 will be sampled, I think, in September, October time period. We'll continue that process through each year until asked otherwise. We had a couple water leaks that were repaired last week by the water department crews, one at Sam West Road and one on Berkshire Avenue. I don't know, Kevin, you want to just kind of wrap in those?
Yeah, it was just Sam West Road, service saddle blew off the main. We just put in the saddle on there and repaired it, and then Berkshire Avenue 186, it was another service. There was a 1/4-inch hole in the copper line.
Okay.
So yeah, they took 12 fixes on the same day, and they were still home by 3 o'clock. So good day for them.
That's pretty good.
Well, item 5, we're gonna talk more about this later on today, but I did get a phone call from Noah Lydiard. He represents the Hankin property. So Ed and Dave, you remember the Hankin property. This was something that came up 5 or 6 years ago. Noah is representing the family for that property at 49 Foster Road. That's the address of the property. They're looking to potentially sell the property and asked if the water department would be interested in selling and buying the property. So we'll talk more about that later on in the day. Item 6, there's a proposed commercial subdivision at 686 College Highway, which shows access off Tannery Road. Planning board's gonna have open a hearing for a special permit later this month. So I did review that plan. I proposed, and I submitted comments regarding the proposed water connections. Item 7, it's our town, that time of year, we develop our annual town report. So there's a little blurb of that. It's a 1-page blurb.
Right.
In the back of the document, back of your packet. Pretty straightforward. So next page, my bad, next page.
Yeah.
So take a look at this. I think it's pretty straightforward. Just talks about the water department and what we do, and then what we work on, some special projects last year. And what we're looking to work on next year and beyond. And the last item is Emil from Sigma is doing his backfill inspections. He did the last batch of inspections in December, finalized last year's report.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Okay, 581 College Highway, requesting a water abatement.
Yes, that was, it was a leaking toilet. The tenant didn't pay attention and got a big bill. Just here to. We fixed it down now. It's working.
You got any history on this, Randy?
Yeah, Christie can help me in here a little bit, but there was a leak at the property. They were notified of the leak. They took care of it as quick as they could. There are some numbers in here in terms of how much water was lost during that timeline. I guess it was 2 toilets that were leaking,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah, they were found to be leaking. This is the Xantos Plaza
That's
on College
Yes.
Highway.
I think it's the house that was next to it.
It's the
Oh, sorry, the
house.
house. It
It's
was
the house, right?
Yeah,
as a
The
separate
house.
property there.
and they weren't sent a card, because it was an intermittent leak. It was, the meter was still hitting 0. We had discussed this at our last meeting.
Right.
They just.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So I had that on it.
How long was it leaking? Randy,
What
you don't know?
So
How did we figure the amount that was leaked,
So what we did was we took the average, prior to this billing. And determined that per day, per billing cycle, what it would normally run.
Okay.
So that's on that first page where the first tab is. Check the tab.
for the homeowners, requested $250 off the bill. If you go by what was actually leaked, well, for our calculations, the value is $211.48. And then if you want to go by the 10%, it would be $49.23.
I would like to go by the amount that leaked, but maybe at the tier 1 rate. I mean, it's not, it sounds, but it's makes a difference.
What would that be, Christie?
$680.
Yeah.
$196, $197. $197.
Dave?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Okay,
I do too.
I'll make a motion to abate $197.
A second, it.
Yeah, all in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
John Kane, aye.
Dave Meswell, aye.
Okay. Abatement carries. Thank you all. Sir.
Thank you, appreciate your time. You know,
All right, what we got here? Work order summary, I saw that.
He understands that, that's just a long one.
Okay, anything under old business, Randy?
I have nothing.
Nothing. Okay, new business.
First item is Wally Park Spray Park. We do have two gentlemen from Park and Rec here. Mr. Wally and Mr. Shield, appreciate you guys coming. So I'll just give you a kind of a real quick history, what I know, and then maybe just have some discussion with these two gentlemen. So there was an application that was presented by the Park and Rec to this CPC commission. Requesting funding for a new spray park. There was no communication to myself or anybody else in the water department until the very end there. We did get some information from Cindy Sullivan regarding the application that packet that was actually submitted to CPC. And in your packets, you have some select pages of that, just kind of showing the estimated water use page, and then also there were some pictures of here of what the spray park would look like. So based on that, I just felt that it was appropriate to have a discussion with the Park and Rec. Obviously, this is a pretty significant project. Maybe some impacts of not only the water department, but other departments, or whether it's local or state. Just want to make sure that things are proceeding and we're all kind of working together and talking about this before it gets too far advanced down the road. So I guess I'll just talk about the water use that's being proposed, and then maybe if there's, ask the other gentleman here if there's any changes or what the thought process is. But based on this estimate, they're looking for 63 gallons per minute. They estimate that would run for 5 hours per day, which would total 18,900 gallons per day. And the spray park would be open for 92 days of the year, which would be about 1.74 million gallons for the year. And then we have the breakdown of what that would cost per our current rates. So these numbers are pretty big. They would be one of, if not the biggest water user in town. So because of that, I think it's kind of appropriate to have some discussions, like I said, before things go too far. To make sure we're all kind of seeing things the same way, and that was about it. So,
Would it be exempt from the water restriction?
Yes,
so I did have a
yeah, I
discussion
know.
with
I already know, I'm already.
DEP. I asked that very question.
Yeah.
And so we have our conditions, and I didn't bring them with me, but there is under their health and safety provision. That would be allowed. So if we were under a water restriction, that would not have to shut down.
That's gonna.
I think that's a big issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it is a
from-
big issue.
our water, our standard standpoint, it's allowed, but from an optic standpoint, from town residents, it may be an issue, right?
I can see that.
Why can they use water, but I can't water my lawn?
Yeah, they can't
so-
water the lawn, but, right,
So that, I'm sure that's something that would come up at town meeting floor questions, if not before then.
oh, I can see that,
So,
after what we went through last year.
yeah. Donovan, you have anything to say? You wanna just kind of?
Oh, I got a lot to say.
Oh, you do?
I don't know where the estimates came from, but, you really can't estimate what it's the consumption's gonna be, because, if there's a problem, it's programmable. In other words, well, first of all, if nobody's there, nothing is used. But if there's no kids in the park, there's no water use. Kid has to go up and hit the button, go under the water for a few minutes, and then it shuts off. But as far as was it 63 gallons a minute? That's with the full force of all four of those things going at the same time. You can also program it so, Rob Levesque likes to call it choreography. You can have one go on at a time, or you can have two and then one. There's a lot of things you can do to control it. You can make a rule that if it's not 90 degrees, it's shut off. But right now, our feeling at Park and Rec is that if you go up there and it's 92 degrees, there's not a soul in the park. If you go up there and it's 85 degrees, the playscape is full, everybody's having a good time. So we feel that this would add to the value and the usage on the park. But as far as water goes, you tell us how much you want to use, we can control it. You know, if it gets, things get real bad, you say, shut it off, shut it off. But the thing is, if you don't have the spray park, you don't have any options.
The major problem from water side is if we have to shut off everyone watering their lawns, but we can allow a spray park to go on, funded with taxpayer money, how do we?
Yeah, I
How do
don't
we
think
sell
You
that?
can allow it, doesn't mean that the park and rec won't cooperate.
No, but also if we have a spray park in town, the time that it's gonna be most utilized would be when we
we have the drought.
effectively have a
Right.
water restriction, you know, so
Yeah.
I think
You can
it
pretty
makes
much
it tough
guarantee it.
to
Well,
sell.
I can already see it.
I guess you can't guarantee a drought either, right?
Yeah.
Well-
Last summer was, you know, an anomaly. The summer before, we had plenty of water. So I think what we're saying is if there's drought conditions, you know, we'll work with you and we'll follow, you know, the protocol. I mean, I get it, right? We all have to live by that. But there's many a summer where you have, you know, plenty of rain. And, you know, you can use the park. I think it will
Yeah.
enhance, like John said, it will enhance the park. You've got parents with young kids that are home, looking for something to do. It doesn't cost them anything, and whatnot. Again, we're in different economic times where people are looking for, things they can do that's not gonna impact them. You know, in their pocketbook. I look at the park as, you know, someone, my kids are all grown up, but I got to enjoy the park when my kids were that age and they played the sports and whatnot. It's a great facility, and then this, in my opinion, as someone that's a town resident, but also on the Park and Rec Committee, I think will enhance the park, and it'll be something that will draw more people to it. And again, we'll work with you to follow the guidelines. If there's a drought, like I said, shut it off when we can't use it. But our hope is you have normal summers where it's not affecting people, like John said. You can program it where it's only being used at certain times in certain ways. If there's no one up there, it's not just going to be constantly running, going from there. So just my thought on it.
Is there any option for a well? Or
There is a well on the property. I don't know if they want to respond to that.
is not the capacity?
There's some question of whether or not we can spray non-chlorinated water on the kids.
I can see that for health reasons unless it's.
I have a question. What happened to that pipeline that we ran from Southwick, some Westfield to Cannery Road? Wasn't that supposed to tie in with our water system?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's been connected.
It's all
That
done.
was done a year ago plus.
That's already been done.
So it's really not so much as, I guess, we can supply the water.
Right.
That we fix that problem, like, you know, fix the problem or whatever, we upgraded that line, but it's,
Right.
can we afford to take that water away from our permit, from
Customer.
the customer? Not, well, they would be a customer too, but from the
Right.
town
Right.
residents.
Just one thing about the drought, so we've implemented water restrictions every year except the one since 2016. So it's more likely every year we're going to be in a, whether it's a drought or not, we're gonna be implementing restrictions. That's just based on the language in our permit.
And I would hate to have it follow our water restriction and then have the spray park that you can only use in, you know, April and October kind of thing.
Right.
Well, nobody, I haven't heard any complaints anyway. The fact that even though there's a water restriction, we water the park every day.
And you're allowed because you have a well,
You have,
Right.
you have-
that's not a town, so your
Yeah.
well's exempt from any town water systems.
Well, they don't know where water's coming from.
Actually,
Oh, I'm
we
sure
have,
they do.
we
Oh,
have,
we get a lot of-
we have phone
People-
calls about that.
Yeah,
People call all the time.
Yeah.
People call about their neighbor,
Yeah.
watering their
Oh.
lawn,
Yeah.
washing their car,
The
Yeah.
phone calls that I get.
it's crazy.
I don't
Also,
want
would
to
there-
go on or wash my car.
Yes, right. Would there be an option to put a chlorination treatment system in? Or is that just that here,
I don't know.
So, I mean, you need
but also the town has to
Sounds
take care of it?
You know, operator,
an operator for it, and then it has to,
Right.
you have to, it's.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to maintain the same regulations that we do with.
that
our
we follow, right?
Correct.
And it's town, so it'd just be like adding another well, basically, a whole nother system into our system,
Mhm.
such as that's not. Doesn't seem feasible from a town standpoint.
And the question I got is, why didn't you gentlemen come to us beforehand to give us a heads up what was gonna happen? We found out about this, what, just last week?
Couple weeks ago.
I mean, out of respect, you gentlemen couldn't come in here and talk to us beforehand? So we got a little bit of heads up so we don't get hearsay and whatever. Cause this first we knew about it.
We're here now.
Yeah, I know, that's. And then, Mr. Wally, I don't appreciate your comment in the open meeting law about us. Calling us a pain in the ass. Then it's recorded. 'Cause we just listened to it.
Well, you were back when I was here last.
Really? Well, I don't appreciate that. You gotta know you have to know the rules and regulations on how to run a water system. And we got an excellent man right there, and we follow the law, and that's all we do.
It's definitely a lot to it,
There is
a lot more
So,
than people realize.
testing and whatever we gotta do. We got an excellent man right there that runs the department, so.
I
Well,
apologize,
it's a
I
team
haven't
effort.
recovered from my $7,000 water bill on Deer Run, when we didn't have a sprinkler system.
Okay, is there any more discussion? I haven't got people. Randy?
I guess, what is the plan moving forward? So I guess I would like to see, maybe some concrete numbers. How much water are you looking to use, or what do you think you're going to? Because that's gonna affect us. But also on the back end, you gotta somehow manage this water after it goes to the park. So you're gonna need to know exactly how much water is going, because you're gonna design some system.
Where's
Down-
Yeah, the excess water, where's it running? Where's it going?
And it's all chlorinated water, right? I mean, I don't know how you plan on, what's the plan to manage that?
Oh, there's three possibilities. One is to have a septic system, but it would have to be big. But again, we're gonna go back to the calculation. Really don't know until you use the park, how many people are gonna be there, how many times they're gonna press that button.
So we have to go worst case scenario
Yeah,
when in design,
right.
right?
Oh, absolutely. You gotta go on the high end.
So we have to account, say this thing is a huge thing and it's gonna bring people in from surrounding communities or whatnot, but potentially if it's that popular, it could be used at maximum design capacity.
I believe they have to go by at least one spray park to get to Southwood. One in Agawam,
Yeah.
so I think Agawam has 2 and Westfield, I think it's 3.
Do you know how much those parks in Westfield use? Water they use? I can tell you the biggest one uses 10 million gallons a year.
Yeah.
Which is 4 times the number you're giving us. And this park is bigger than that one that your park is proposed to be bigger than that one. So that's why I have some concerns about your numbers and how are you gonna control that?
Right.
Explain it that we're gonna program it. And we can control how often it's used. There's no sense having on if it's 75 degrees out.
And
Well,
those
what if people wanna use it when it's 75 degrees? That's the,
kids don't care about 75 degrees. That's,
yeah, and
It's-
if we're talking. We're talking 1 million to 10 million gallons of water, that's gonna be really hard for us to
supply.
pass over and to pass on to our ratepayers. And that we just raise our rates and you can't use your water, but now we're gonna use, 10 million gallons a year in a spray park. I think it's a big ask from a already, struggling water system with our customer base. And that's my feeling on it.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
And that's from a strictly water standpoint, not from whatever other issues might come around with it, but from getting the water in. And getting it out again, because it's gonna have to, if not a septic, it's gonna have to go in a sewer. Which we have capacity for,
There's
but.
no sewer on Powder Mill Road.
Yeah, there's no
You would
sewer.
have to go to. Have you talked to the Board of Health or any other state agencies about how you're gonna manage that water?
Rabovac has talked with them and they were talking about. First of all, with the septic system, whether or not it has to be treated. Another possibility that they do in other parks is they collect it and use it for sprinkling after.
Do you need to dechlorinate the water before you can reuse it?
As far as we know, no. You may have to put up a sign that said this is reused water or something like that. But you don't have to chlorinate.
Yeah, I would say dechlorinate, so it's called chlorinate, now you're adding chlorine, putting the water,
Oh,
dechlorinate.
I don't think so, but Rod is researching all of that right now.
I think everybody's using their water to water their lawns
Mhm.
now. So
Well, so
It's.
there are some regulations,
Yeah.
and it's, so it's because,
Flushing hydrants and stuff, it's crazy.
Because now we're taking the same chlorinated water and we're just spraying it out more into the same area. That's,
Even for us, we cannot flush hydrants without dechlorinating, which is the reason why we have the square boxes on the back.
Oh,
of our
okay.
truck
Yep, yep,
And the tablets that go in there and. It's just the rules.
right.
I don't know about that situation with that. I mean, once it goes on the spray pad. Everybody knows it's. I would have to say it's dissipated before it,
could be, yeah.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
before it,
Right,
where when we're flushing and so on and so forth, it's going down the road into storm drains.
Right.
That's going onto a pad and. Going into a tight tank or something, or a septic system, however it is, and
right.
it's probably dechlorinated. I don't know what the rules are. That's.
Well, I've talked a little bit about, I've talked to Board of Health, I've talked to, Board of Health has reached out to the Department of Public Health. I think that you should probably reach out to both those agencies sooner than later as well, because there's gonna be some concerns on their end.
What about health and
Department of Public Health, it's a Mass DEP agency, so if you're discharging more than 10,000 gallons of water a day. You have to go through what's called the groundwater discharge permit process. And I think at these numbers, you're exceeding 10,000 gallons of water a day. And I think that process would require you to chlorinate that before you can reuse it or inject it into the ground. You really need to have discussions with those agencies before you go too far, because they probably can impact your budget. And my feeling is probably gonna, and there's also condition requirements, I think, for a backflow device on the water system side. That's a DPH regulation. They're gonna wanna have, the water's gonna come out, it's gonna come into a meter, in the meter pit, go into a backflow device. Have it go through the spray park. Dechlorinate it, and then whether it goes into some kind of groundwater injection or reuse. That, I think that's the flow process you're gonna have to follow. And I'm not sure if that's all accounted for in the estimate that I've seen. So I wanna make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion?
Rob should have a discussion with the agencies. I don't want to speak for them. I've talked to them, but you should have a discussion with yourself.
I think a spray park would be a good value to the town. And I think that at this point to say no, you know, or to give the indication that we might say no. I mean, we could, as the process is being further pursued, we should be in the discussion somehow. And maybe come up with some kind of trigger if it's a level 2. If it's a level 2, you may want to shut it down. Or just limit the days, but I mean, the time when you really want a spray park is when it's hot and
when
dry.
you can't use the sprinklers at your house.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense, so. And I mean, whether people like it, that they can't water their lawn, but the spray park is still operational. I mean, they don't like it now, they can't water their lawn, so I don't see a difference. I don't see that being part of the issue. If we can accommodate them, I think it would be a big benefit for the town to have a spray park. And make the park, get more utilization out of the park. Anytime you can get more utilization out of the park and make it a better place for the community. I'm all for it. But, we, like Randy said, there may be some things that you haven't thought about because we don't have a sewer available to put the water into, so as the discussion goes along, we can come up with what we think is a good policy for you to operate the water park under, so that, and I mean, of course, in a water emergency, if you have a well go down or something, automatically we're gonna have to shut it down, but there's ways we can get around it, but I mean, we're gonna be in water restrictions, we're gonna be answering those questions, and if that new rule goes into effect, that's gonna help us out a lot, because other towns in the area will be will be affected and everybody on Facebook will be complaining about it. You know, so it's not just gonna be Southwick again. Like we're some victim. But, I mean, I think we should keep an open mind and just pursue it, see where it goes. If you guys still find it viable and, you know, we can give you an estimate of what kind of water we can provide. And figure out, you guys can figure out how to manage that number. I think that's the fairest thing we can do. I don't know what you're gonna do with the water once you spray it on the kids, you know? Kids are filthy.
Well, I can tell you, if we try to sell this to the town as a water use, we're gonna be looking for new water commissioners. They're gonna come after us. They've already come after us with raising the rate, not being able to use water, and now we're gonna just pump water onto the ground when no one can use water. For the past years, people are complaining about their lawns and this and that, and conserving water, and I think we're gonna shoot ourselves, but if
Well,
we recommend
That's what I
that.
feel too, but. I mean,
I mean, I can see the benefits of a spray park. I
Oh, me
can see a
too.
lot of
Oh, I-
the disadvantages of it.
I mean,
Could we use the money from the town's budget in a better way? Maybe, you know, if there's other ways to prop up the town. I think that.
I'm
there's a lot
I'm
of-
just saying that we should have an open mind.
Oh,
As
absolutely.
to what's gonna be developed. I mean, yeah, I understand people aren't gonna be happy, but they're not happy now. They're using 30% more water than the DEP mandates.
Well, how
They're
do,
still not happy.
what kind of leverage does this give us when we go to the DEP to get our water withdrawal permit increased? And they're gonna say, why, so you can have a spray park? I think that's gonna
Well,
be a negative mark on us. We're saying,
I
no,
think
yeah,
the bigger thing is gonna be the residential water use. I mean, we're way over and the only way we're ever gonna get that down is to put in 10,000 units of Section 8 housing. People don't have lawns. You know, because everybody in town has an acre of grass they wanna water. You know, and they have swimming pools. It's
well.
a
plan
side
section
effect
eight
of our
housing, spray
affluence
park
that
would be
we use too much water.
Just to clarify, Dave, so when our calculation is that residential gallon per use per day, we take out all the other use. So this would be taken out of the equation before we can calculate that number.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the DEP is gonna look harder at the residential water use, and why aren't we taking conservation measures more than they're gonna look at a spray park?
Yeah.
You know, so,
because by taking conservation measures and installing a pump to pump water on the ground, the people who pay the water bill are going to be upset, and they pay the water bill for the spray park too. You gotta remember that.
yeah,
So-
I understand that.
And it's gonna add a lot of, aside from just the water system, but the maintenance and upkeep of that is coming out of the budget too.
Right.
So as water commissioners, we're saying, okay, you can't water your lawn. Also, you have to pay more money for water and pay more money to have the spray park to be maintained while your lawn's dying. So
Well, there could be I think you would probably charge, the town would pay for this water for the spray park. That would be.
well, they would, yeah, but the town would pay with the taxpayers. dollars.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. So you're paying your water bill and you're paying your taxes, which are both partially funding this spray park. And there's a lot of people in town, there's a lot of elderly, a lot of older people without kids, and it's gonna be hard to pass that along to them. Well, we already raised the rate substantially over the past 2 years to cover the infrastructure upgrades that we need and that are continuing to be needed.
Yeah, I have no argument with that point. It's gonna be tough to sell them. I mean,
I don't wanna be.
let's let these guys,
That's,
let's let these guys do that. I mean, we're gonna be talking about it. If they appeal that and they get that appeal so that even what West Springfield doesn't even have water restrictions anymore, we're gonna be sitting there like we're some kind of water Nazis. You know, that's just the way it is. It's been that way since I've been on the commission. People come in all the time complaining they can't water. Well, you can water your lawn when it's raining, you know. when we have a wet summer, you can water all you want, but when it's dry, you can't. That's beyond our control. How much water we can give them, you know?
We're just
It's a matter of,
From the
you know,
DEP.
and
It's
it's
just-
a matter of, if Kevin can
not our
supply the
decision.
water for an additional user like a water park, then I don't think we should really keep telling them, no, we can't do it right now. Let them figure out if it's workable on their end, and then we can come up in discussions with them and find out what kind of water we can supply them. And selling it to the town, well, that's everybody's job. That's their job. That's our job. That's the selectmen's job. If they're gonna spend the money to build a water park, a spray park, then they gotta sell that to the town anyways. Not whether, and they
I gotta
gotta,
sell to CPC.
CPC's already bought and they already
So-
sold it.
Is this designed already?
We just have to get a shot in the foot
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, so you should have. Other than the time frame, you should have exact numbers on the gallons per minute it's gonna use.
Well, it's gonna be 1/4, if we program it correctly, it'll be 1/4 of what it says there. And
Or if you
there's no
program
way
it
of
incorrectly.
predicting how many people are gonna come and press the button.
And it's putting it on us to say, yes,
Straight part.
you know, to allow it and to say, oh, okay, we're gonna restrict the water. So now people are like, well, we just put the spray park in using taxpayer money, we're paying more money for water. And now we can't use it. You know, my kids couldn't use it because we were busy, and now it's the middle of the summer, and I go to use it and the water's off. Because they used too much water before, and now we're in a restriction because we tried to make an agreement to make it work for everybody. And I think either way, at this point, with the water use restrictions that we've had in the previous years, it puts all the negative on the water department. You know, on the water commissioners, it's all negative. There's nothing positive that we can say or do to make it better for our ratepayers and for the taxpayer. We only look at the negative side of it.
Any more discussion? Because we're,
No, I think, so what's the next step? I mean, what are you guys thinking your next step is?
We're gonna worry about what to do with the water after it hits the kids. Where it goes from there. We don't have the answer to that yet.
Again, I don't know the whole history of the water here and whatnot. But is it just like, is Agawam and Westfield, do they have a better system or more water? Is that?
They're allowed to use more water.
They're allowed to use it.
Yeah.
It's permitted, the amount we can use is permitted.
Is permitted, okay.
Yep.
There's restrictions on it.
Okay, very
You can't renegotiate that at any point.
We're working on that.
yeah,
good. Is
we're-
it based what on population?
Population plus employment.
it's, we've been going through this for 5 years now.
It's a 10-year.
Yeah.
And say Westfield and Agawam and Springfield, they have a lot more commercial water users.
Right,
You know, so
They're
they're.
trying, she's trying to get more.
yeah, we're trying,
So if this was a commercial water
Like,
user.
Right.
Follow the rules, follow the
Right.
rules,
it wouldn't make any difference. if
what they
gave us
tell us we
water,
can do.
Because we'd be triggered by the same triggers for water restrictions, but that we had. If they gave us 10 million gallons a day,
So by doing the upgrade from Springfield Water and Sewers main line to Southwick, it gives us the capacity if we lose a well, you know, or our own supply goes
Right.
down, then we can draw more from them. And Springfield has plenty of capacity. I was up at Provo Mountain last week with them. They were used to pump at 30 million gallons a day,
Yeah.
down to like 18.
That water also just received the, was it 57% price increase?
Agawam had a huge. increase.
really?
With our-
Well, the
Oh,
water itself, yeah.
All that Springfield water we pump in, that's.
it's going into that
Yeah.
increase, yeah.
So the more water we need that we rely on from Springfield, the higher our price goes. And we've already raised our rates and, you know, now we're just taking it off the backside of the budget.
Right. Okay. All right.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Okay,
You're welcome to
Okay.
stay, but I guess we're gonna move on with the
Yep,
discussion.
we're gonna move on.
Excellent. All right, thanks for having us.
Yep.
yes, thank you.
Okay, Hankin property, Randy.
So there's a figure in here. So Hankin property, George Hankin, he passed away probably 10 years ago.
Right,
He had some property, the address is 49 Foster, but it's actually located behind Lexington Circle. There's a figure here, this page. just kind of highlights the property itself. So when Mr. Hankin passed away, there were three siblings. I think there were three that,
Right,
inherited the property.
right.
And they're looking, they're trying to figure out what to do with it. They did approach the water department probably 7 or 8 years ago, seeing if we were interested. There was some lukewarm interest at the time. But then eventually the family decided to kind of halt that process and they wanted to, just wait, for their own reasons. So I got a call from, one of the siblings, their son Noah, about a month ago, and, they said the family is really interested in selling the property. So it's one parcel, let's see how many acres it is. Print out the word, sorry.
41.
Yeah, just under 42 acres, thank you. And there's one access point, so it's not, you don't see it on the yellow on this paper here.
It's a narrow.
There is a right of way off of actually it's Lauren Lane between two house lots.
It's not a right of way. It is, I said right away, but it's actually its own.
It is
as
a,
part of that piece. I've seen it. It's like the assessor's map.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, it shows a little access, but not enough frontage to build. I think that's what the problem.
so they could build one house lot. They could get an estate lot out of it. And that's probably all they could do is get one lot out of it. So the question is, would we be interested in purchasing it? There is town-owned, so our wells are pretty close by, just to the north. Of this property that's all town-owned property, not shown on this map, but our wells are, I think, just beyond what's on the screen here, so it's pretty close proximity. But it's also a very wet area. You can see Great Brook coming through here, coming to the back of the property.
Right.
It's already very well protected through Well Protection Acts and other mechanisms. I think all they could get is one house lot. That's it. So the question is, would we be interested in purchasing it? When I talked to Mr. Lydiard, we kind of went over a couple scenarios and, they could potentially sell the whole property to either the town. They could sell the whole property to, a person to buy and build a lot. Or they could try to break up the property, keep the frontage off Lauren Lane, break off an acre, so a couple acres. Sell that and then to the private side and then have the town or the water department purchase the back property. I did ask, I told Mr. Lydiard, if you're looking to maximize your value, the value of this property is the frontage up on the back piece, there's really not much value. There's no real use for it.
No, it
It's
goes like-
all wet.
Right straight down. Yeah, I don't know how far off the back of Lauren Lane those houses are, but then it goes from, if you had the elevation map, it must drop 60 feet. My house I live right here. So
Oh,
my
okay.
backyard,
Okay.
we're all level like Coyote.
Yeah.
Coyote, Glen, we're all like the same height, our cul-de-sacs, but my backyard drops 40 feet down into
Yeah,
full.
I used to ride my dirt bike.
Face
That's a
down,
big
yeah.
downhill and then an uphill right
Yeah.
there.
Okay,
So there's not a lot of. I don't think there's a lot of value in that, and I feel like they would have probably done something with it.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
With the property.
And as far as protecting the water system in the well, like we said, the Wetland Protection Acts and all that, they're not gonna, even if they sold off a small piece there, I don't think it would impact our water system any more or less than if we own that piece.
Yep, I agree. That's kind of
Yeah.
where I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think the value of this lot, I looked at some, house lot or vacant lots in the neighborhood that sold the last couple of years and they were going for like 150, 160,000 for an acre lot.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably the baseline for the value of this lot here is that, I would say at least that much.
Yeah.
On the market. So that said, there is a drinking water supply protection grant program that's actually open right now. And the town could apply for some grant money to purchase property. One of say drawbacks, but it is only 60% reimbursable. So if the town paid $100,000, 40,000 would come from the town, 60 would be paid, reimbursed through the program.
And once you buy it through that program, that land is like basically put a fence around it.
Either town owns it, town owned property or water department, water workers property, that's town property.
Okay, but would there be restrictions on, like, say, if you wanted to put, I don't know, hiking trails, things like that, would that be?
So I think even our other properties in town, I think they're open for passive recreation.
Okay.
So no motorized vehicles, but yes, walking, bird
Right.
watching, that type of stuff could happen on any of our own property.
Does it have frontage on the road, like sidewalks that would have to be cleared of snow?
No,
Nothing?
no,
Is there
it's-
anything on this? No.
No, it's just basically. It comes. I think what happened when they subdivided it, you know, for the subdivision that's up there, they made 1 acre lots and maybe had an idea that they were gonna do something with that piece, maybe build a state lot back there. But right now, it's like 2 houses and there's just a piece of land in between.
Oh,
So
really?
there might be a sidewalk, but it's no more than whatever that width.
It's
is.
50, I think it's 50 foot wide,
Yeah.
but it's still gonna maintain it,
Okay.
yeah.
But someone, I'm guessing now that the 2 homeowners on either side are just maintaining it. Cause
Oh,
there's nothing there.
So I guess, I told Mr. Later, I'd talk to the board and get back to him. You know, our options are to, you know, proceed, you know, with this. Say no thanks, or maybe say, yeah, we can, but you know, if you. I don't think they would sell this to the water department. They're not gonna maximize the value, and I don't blame them for that. That's, you know, I even asked him, were you looking to maximize? He said, yes. That's perfectly fine. That's their call. No qualms there. I think if anything, they could break off, you know, an acre or two, you know, with the frontage and then sell the back if they wanted to. We could pursue that maybe if that's amenable to them.
The thing that I like about having the frontage, if the town owned it, is that you could have access to it.
Yeah.
And this is town, a lot of this property back here is town owned. I know most of the stuff that abuts me up, there's one lot that isn't, but this. It's 14, that's a town piece.
I think this is town,
I
this
know.
is town here.
Yeah. And
So
then
you probably could access it from the well site. Kevin, do you think you could get back there? From the wells?
Ooh, I don't know, could you? I don't think so.
No, I mean, it's
No, she'd have
it's
to cross the
contiguous,
road.
but it may.
Yeah, that would be on the other side of the road.
It's an-
My suggestion would be to have them call a realtor and just do a market evaluation. It's free. They could get a market evaluation and give you kind of a ballpark figure of what that property would be like.
And if we could, if as a water department, we can buy it through the grant, maybe there's a way the town. You know, the town proper could reimburse the money to the water department.
Yeah, the 40%.
Yeah, that 40%.
Who would reimburse? How could that?
The town itself, you know, so it doesn't come out of the, because it would be town owned property at that point. It wouldn't come out of the water department's budget dollars, it would come out of the, say, general fund, if you will.
I mean, we could pursue it as a water grant. And then maybe try to get some funds from the CPC,
Yeah, something like that,
you
yeah.
know, to try and make another Sofinisky property out of it, where we could have some walking trails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sofenowski.
But I think that if we could do something like that and would use the grant money to, you know, kind of protect some land either way.
Yeah,
so I can make some phone calls and emails.
Okay.
Reach out about those options and get back to you on that.
yeah, sounds
I mean,
good.
if you check that out and have them do a market evaluation, it's not costing them anything, and we'll get a fair estimate of what that property would be worth. We already have an assessor's thing for 140 grand. So I'm guessing it's not gonna be a lot more than that,
No.
150,000 for a building lot.
Mhm.
I mean, you got wetlands on there, and they're gonna have, you know, just doing a building in there, you're probably gonna, to put in a leach field and everything, you're gonna be into some conservation.
Oh, yeah, I don't
Maybe looking
think,
into
oh, yeah.
conservation.
within 200 feet of the wetland delineation, probably, I bet is the back line here.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's a reason why these lots aren't 5 acres or 3 acres apiece,
Right,
because there's some delineation from the wetland. I'll give you, go out there, I live right here.
right.
I go out there quite a bit on my bike.
That's what I'm saying is, there, you know, as a building lot, it's probably got other issues besides just the, you know, the 50-foot. We would be probably a little bit easier to put walking trails or just have it open land or
Yeah.
whatever. We would
We're
have an
probably the
easier
best
time,
customer.
so.
for the
We are the best customer, especially if we get even 60%. of the value in a water protection grant.
And they have no money in this land. You know, that land is just been sitting there paying taxes on it, so.
Yeah.
Was another issue too, I guess, is if we lose but the tax fund can't be.
Sure, it's probably in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a lot, 140 grand.
that's what's it, 15,000, so.
I mean, that's the easiest thing to do is find out what kind of funds are available and then just find out what they can really get for it.
If there's grant money that we can use, and if there's some way that the town can refund, not refund, but.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
pay for it.
Offset the.
I think this would be a competitive grant application.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would be.
Oh, by far.
And it's all, I mean, it's all wetland, it's something that
Right.
wouldn't be bad to have as part of the town.
Yeah.
Town's land, and like, I don't know which one of these lots are town already, but there's quite a bit of town owned land there. So that we can create a larger conservation.
Right, it's all continuous, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so I'll follow up on that and I'll report back at the next
Okay.
meeting.
Oh, good. 2024 budget.
So it's time of year for budget. There are budget sheets in your packet. They look like these here, I got them. Recognized these probably in the past couple of years. So the way, I filled in what's in the shaded area on the right hand side. And, everything else, you can see all the line items. It has the, actual expenses, actually the budget and the actual expenses for each of those line items going back to the past 3 years. So you get an idea of what we've actually spent on these line items. So, I'm not looking to make many changes from past year. There's a couple line items which we can talk about, which ones I'm looking to make some changes to. So first of all, the top bar, the salaries, that's all filled in by town account. We don't do that.
Right.
We focus on the operations and the capital items.
Right.
So the first item under operations is advertisement. Last year, the line item was $1,050. Looking up that to $1,300. This is the, we pay to have the consumer comps report printed in the Westfield News under that line item.
Right.
You can see last year that cost $1,200, $1,255.
Yeah.
So this kind of brings it up to where you expect it to be next year.
Okay.
I'm gonna go down the list a little bit. No changes on any of these until we get to what's called City of Springfield,
Yep.
Springfield Water. This is the water bill of Springfield. So looking to increase that line item from 50,000 to 65,000. Not necessarily because we're looking to take more water from Springfield, just because their rates are going up.
Increase, yeah, the rate increase. Yeah.
And that's, we talked about their treatment plant upgrades that are ongoing.
Right.
They're all
Yeah.
that cost.
Yeah, it's filter beds, yeah.
So that's the reason for that increase. If I continue down the list, the third from the bottom is printing fittings. Looking to increase that from 3,000 to 4,500. So we've been using this line item to pay for all the notices we send out to the
Right.
residents for the violations.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get that back from Springfield? Or is it not?
I haven't asked the question, but I have asked other towns.
And I know what you're gonna get for an
they just-
answer.
They just,
Yeah.
I talked to Agawam, they said, no,
Forget it, yeah.
they eat it, so unfortunately, yeah. So, there's an increase in that line item mostly to account for those annual notices, which we expect to continue up the fiscal year. Any question on this one page?
Nope. Nope.
We go on to the next page. No changes until we get to the capital. I will note there are numbers here. You look at, the total level funded 461,942. And then you compare that to the 301. That's just just because the 301 isn't accounting for the numbers I put in where it says by accounting
Okay.
or by others.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's not an increase. It's just an increase by about $16,000.
Okay.
Three items we just talked about,
Right.
or about $17,000. So that's the increase to the operations line items. And then when we look at the capital items, we have, and I made a mistake on here, I forgot that something. So leak detection, $8,000. So every 3 years, we have to do a townwide leak detection survey. So looking to utilize that for that cost. I didn't put anything for hydrant replacements there, but I should have.
Yep.
We didn't have that.
Get back.
We didn't have that. That was kind of like a last minute cut last year. But we'd like to put that back in this year's budget.
What's their cost per hydrant?
It's probably about $5,000 when it's all said and done.
The hydrants themselves are like 28.
Yeah.
Ish.
Okay,
I mean, it
I did
depends.
the other one last year, so I'm just curious what we're paying.
Oh, so.
Yeah, I mean, they're anywhere from $2,400 to $2,800 per
Okay.
For
hydrant.
the hydrant itself, so
For
this
the
doesn't
hydrant.
include the excavation part, just the.
no, it's just the item, it's just,
Okay.
So we do use this to pay, if we do it ourselves, we hire a contractor, we would pay them at a single line item.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so it would include the hydrant install.
so when I say 5,000.
oh, that's where the 5,000 is coming from, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
full.
I mean, there's other fittings, I was,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
macros and high maxes.
So what are you could put in 20,000?
20,000, and that's what we have been last,
Right,
till last year,
right.
that was our kind of, our annual, our standard.
Okay, yep,
3 to 5 hydrants.
Yep.
How many
Yeah.
hydrants do we have? I don't know.
370 something, I
Somewhere in
want
that.
to say.
are we,
I mean, we keep getting more, it was
Yeah.
new developments.
Yeah.
I want
are we
How
still
many-
numbering them? Are we still doing the numbering system?
I don't think they're numbered, are they?
No,
there's no
Database.
rhyme or reason to it, so to speak.
okay,
There's no format to follow. I mean, some of them are they did have tags and stuff, but I don't know what.
So we are looking to
We did
update our GIS system, and that way you can locate them, you can put
okay,
a tag,
that's
you
fine,
know.
that's fine,
So.
Yeah,
they're
if we
not-
had
they're not
that,
tagged
that
in the
would be-
field, yeah.
no, that's fine.
But they would. could get a tag on there.
Can any of that, do we have any ARPA money? We done any more with the ARPA stuff, or is that all on it?
So there was 2 phases of ARPA money. We were lucky to get some for the water main job.
Yeah.
A year or 2 ago. But I think there is some additional ARPA money available, but the select board have say over how that gets spent. I know there are projects that they're considering.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned anything for water. I figured we were kind of got our cut through that.
Yeah,
Right,
but water, there, yeah, I mean, you know the rules, but that's what I'm just thinking. If there was a way to kind of supplement with new things, sure, we're doing, but.
North Yard.
Well, yeah, that's,
yeah,
I'm just
okay,
saying, you know, budget wise, not just the hydrant issue, but kind of seeing
Yeah.
what's coming down the road.
Next item, skate improvements. This is a carryover. This is kind of helps us maintain our skate
Great.
system. We use
Great.
that every year. And then there is one new item, which, so the way they set it up, there's different sheets here, and I didn't print out the other sheet. And that was my fault. But there is a request for $35,000 to upgrade or refurbish well 2.
okay,
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we refurbished well 1.
Well one,
They
yes.
basically broke it down, they cleaned it. They injected an acid solution in the screening pipe to clean out the screens.
We built the motor.
Rebuilt
yeah,
it.
they did the motor, yeah,
So we're looking at the same thing on well 2.
well, too, okay,
And so that's not on it. It's just a different
Okay,
page. I
yeah.
forgot to print that one out, but that is also in the budget request is that well 2 refurbishing for
Okay.
35,000.
No, it's just getting old.
In addition
Yeah.
to the pump station. 35,000. That's, yeah, okay, sorry. I'm reading.
Sorry, yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah, the county. That request. So that's all I have for the budget. Any questions on that?
when, do you know when our meeting is, when you and I go?
It probably won't be till March.
Okay,
So actually budgets these sheets are due to town accountants tomorrow,
okay,
and then they're gonna put all together and then they'll set up the meetings. Probably not so much. This is later in the year than they've done in the past, so
all right,
it may not be till.
It's not gonna be like that sewer truck though.
and you'll still be here to remind me, right, Christie? You'll still be here to remind me for March, right? Okay. Meter charges,
So with everything else in the world, meter prices have gone up quite a bit. So
Yeah, I was
Christie put
surprised.
together a spreadsheet here of all of our the meter sizes and how much they cost, old and new, broken down by size. So we have a meter charge in the bill right now, so every part of the bill is a meter rental charge, basically. And the way we have it calculating that meter rental charge is, basically, you assume that you're getting 20 years out of that meter. What is that cost breaking down over, 2 bills a year for those 20 years? And that's what you get, that's your meter bill. So with the cost going up, we think it's fair to look at the meter, charges again for our, net upcoming bills. So what we'd be looking for is the second table shows the current charges and then the new charges. And you can see, the costs, have gone up, upwards of, 15 to 25% on average for most of the meters.
Yep.
So we're looking at basically just kind of carry that forward to the meter charge.
This percentage here, 25, is that the increase over?
That over from current to proposed.
Okay.
This
The
is,
4 to the 5, yeah.
so the top bar is the price increase.
Yeah, it's a price increase. right?
And we just rounded up to, the nearest dollar, basically.
So what I'm kind of thinking about is maybe make the larger meters a larger increase, maybe more than what the costs are to offset the regular residential meter fees. So maybe, as a percentage, a 25% increase on a 3/4 inch, maybe we do 15%, but 20% on a 3-inch.
Yeah, it's a small dollar, you're going from $4 to $5.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying percentage one, maybe we just do 25% straight across. Because once you're talking 2-inch meter, that's a business.
I'll tell you, we eliminated most of the. There's not too many big meters left. We switched over, we tried it in a few places to 1-inch meters, and we replaced 2-inch and 1-inch, 1.5 meters with 1-inch meters.
Yeah.
With the new ones there,
Because they're a lot bit more efficient.
yeah,
Better.
Okay.
haven't had any issues or problems, and. You can see the cost difference in the meter, it's
Right.
100, well, 230 now, 240. Compared to, what are they, 2,400? Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and we have. Lakewood Village has 12-unit apartments running, they used to have a 2-inch meter, we put a 1-inch one in there. Haven't had one complaint,
Good, okay.
it's, they're really good. We don't have many big meters left,
Okay,
trying to think, I think Big Y might have one. A couple of the machine shops and stuff, but
yeah, probably a handful.
anything new, we put 1-inch, we never even put big meters in anymore.
Okay,
So, we got.
I guess my point is, it's not, what you're proposing isn't,
It's not gonna make it.
it's not gonna make a big difference.
okay.
Fair enough.
It would look better though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it would totally would look like,
Well, that's what
from your standpoint, absolutely, definitely.
optics are a big thing right now.
So you looking for a motion on this?
Well, yeah, so, yeah, yes, if we would be looking to change the meter rates, if you want to at this rate, or if you want to also ask for something else, we can recalculate for the next meeting. It's up to you, up to the board.
So we just did a huge meter replacement, right? Very
We did,
recently, we
yes.
just finished the last couple.
2017.
2017.
It's been a while now, time.
Yes,
goes by so
2017.
What are the costs gonna be in 20 years? Because that's what we're trying to account for, is that we have. Maybe it's,
Well, higher than what it is today.
yeah, less,
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah,
it's a 25% increase, it's 25% increase gonna. Last the 20 years.
fast. With any luck, it'll still be the same MXUs and some, it's just a meter replacement, but who knows?
yeah.
The technology changes so fast now.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're gonna do an increase, it's kind of like buy once, cry once kind of thing. If we raise it and then. Now we can say what we're projecting for the future, so that we're not gonna have to. Do a meter replacement and jack everybody's up, 75%, something like that.
Yeah, if we have to adjust it later down the road, I mean, prices go up every day, that's.
I
It's
mean, the
hard to
last time I
project.
got that inch, ordered those 1-inch meters, I was like,
Hey,
they were just $190 a piece, and then all of a sudden they're 200 and,
Oh,
It's like, oh my God.
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I would think we just
That's if
start
you
with
could
this
get
and then just look in the future, things go up, I mean, we can't project that far ahead, I don't think, right, Kev? 20 year, we can't. project that
I haven't
far
priced out a hydrant for a while. I mean, I told you they're 24, 25, there could be $3 grand
ahead. It's
now.
gonna be $3 now.
We haven't bought, I have 4 or 5 in stock, so I haven't had to buy any, but
Right,
I want to say, when we put them in last year, they bought 50 at least. I think it was they must spend $3 grand a piece,
yeah.
just about.
they probably are now, they probably are. I don't know, I think we should just go with this for now, and just offset the cost increase.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion to increase the meter charges. And the $5 for the proposed charge column.
Have a second,
I'll second the motion to raise the meter charges to that of the proposed column.
all in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mizell, aye.
John Kane, I.
Okay, motion carries. Anything else on the new business, Randy?
Do we have to vote on this budget?
You probably can't hurt to vote on the budget.
Yeah, we can.
Probably should have done that, yeah.
Make a motion to recommend the budget. Consider what- I'll make a motion to recommend this budget to the select board.
Dave, second,
Second.
okay, Ed Johnson, aye.
John Kane, I.
Dave Mizell, aye.
Motion carries. Anything else come before the board? Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 7:06.
It's a minute, couple minutes fast, I think. It's like
7:06.
Do I have to vote on it? The chairs meeting?
What, to adjourn the meeting? No,
Make a motion.
oh, you can.
Thank you.
Second, yeah. Ed Johnson, aye.
John, aye.
Hey.
Sign and shoot.